Thank you for joining us for OpenLine tonight. We are recapping what happened in the courtroom for day one of the Vanderbilt rape retrial of Brandon Vandenberg. So far, we have heard from the prosecution as they delivered their opening statements. Opening statements, of course, a roadmap of the case ahead that the jury is going to hear. Just heard from the prosecution. Now it's the defense's turn to lay out their case. Let's take a listen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, gentleman is Brandon Vandenberg. And Brandon Vandenberg is not guilty. In June of 2013, Brandon Vandenberg was 19 years old. He grew up in a small desert town in California. Played football for a little while at the University of San Diego and then came back to Indio, California to play for a junior college there. And from that junior college, he was recruited by many major college programs. And in early 2013, a 19-year-old Brandon Vandenberg came on a recruiting trip to Vanderbilt. And on that recruiting trip, he did meet later after that recruiting trip, he chose to come to Vanderbilt University. He could have had his choice of any number of schools to attend. But he wanted to come to Vanderbilt because of the academics, and because it's an SEC school, I guess, and because it's a Division I school. And it's in the big city of Nashville. But Brandon Vandenberg didn't know that even though he was 6'6" tall, that he was getting in over his head. Mr. Vandenberg came to Nashville, enrolled, well, I don't even think he was enrolled, but he came to Nashville. He was assigned two mentors. Austin Carter Samuels, who at that time was the star quarterback of Vanderbilt, the senior quarterback, and Chris Boyd, who was a starting wide receiver. And these were the two men assigned, as I said, as his mentors, who were supposed to show him the way things are done on the Vanderbilt football team. And they did show him the way things are done on the Vanderbilt football team. They showed him we drink a lot. We party a lot. We go to the Tin Roof where a lady named Angie Gentry buys us hundreds of dollars worth of drinks at a time during the night. And even if you're underage, don't worry about it. You'll be able to get drinks and drink there also. And during this 2-week period after he first got to Vanderbilt, Mr. Vandenberg met me, and they began having a dating relationship. They dated several times. And on June 22nd of 2013, it was probably a day pretty much like today, sunny and warm. Okay, sunny and hot. And Austin Carter Samuels and Chris Boyd, along with some other football players and a couple of the girlfriends, along with Mr. Vandenberg, made a trip to the lake. And on the way to that trip, on the way to the lake, they drank. While they were at the lake, they drank. And on the way home, they drank. They were drinking vodka, they were drinking tequila, and who knows what else. And nobody is saying that they held Mr. Vandenberg down and poured liquor down his throat. He drank it on his own. But again, you've got to remember, he's 2,000 miles away from home. And the only people he knows basically are his mentors. The men who are supposed to teach him the way things are done at Vanderbilt, the Vanderbilt football team. And after drinking since 11 o'clock that morning, they finally returned back to Nashville, probably around 6 or 7, something like that. And then they go to another party where there's more drinking. And then after they drink for a while at that party, they go, a couple of different groups get cabs and they go to the Tin Roof. Mr. Vandenberg's with them. Now, you folks aren't from Nashville, so I don't know if you know what the Tin Roof is, but the Tin Roof is a bar that's on Demonbreun Street. And if you're from Memphis and you saw the word Demonbreun, you would have no idea how to pronounce it. But it's a bar on Demonbreun Street that is very popular with Vanderbilt athletes. As I said, there's a lady named Angie that buys them drinks by the hundreds of dollars. And she was there that night. And Mr. Vandenberg was there that night. And Mr. was there that night. And Mr. had been at her apartment before going to the Tin Roof doing what they call pre-gaming, or drinking before you go out to drink. And Mr. favorite drink was gin and tonic. And they were mixing their own drinks there at the house, and she told me that you hear that she called a shot 3 ounces of gin. And she and Mr. Vandenberg had talked earlier in the week, or at least texted each other, and they hadn't made any formal plans to meet at the Tin Roof. It was kind of like, hey, I may be there, hey, you may be there. Maybe we'll get together if we're both there. And when her friends get to the Tin Roof, they do what's called taking a lap. You walk around in the bar to see who's there, to see if any of your friends are there. And they walk around, they see a few of their friends, and sees Mr. Vandenberg at the bar, and goes up to him, and then they begin talking and drinking. I think he was there talking with one of her friends. And they begin drinking together. Angie was there. And Angie was buying rounds of shots. She would buy 10, 15, 20 shots at a time. And the first drink she got there came from Angie. And there was a man there named Tom who was with Angie. Angie bought the drink. Tom picked it up, and Tom gave it to me. There was another occasion that night where he was there at the bar talking to Angie, and Angie bought another round of shots. And Angie says, go ahead and take one, and picked it up herself and drank it down. And then there were a couple of other occasions. Mr. Vandenberg bought her a Red Bull and vodka. I've never had one of those, but I would imagine caffeine in vodka is a pretty potent mixture. But they drink there for a while, and they both become intoxicated. And they both decide to leave to go to the apartment, and they take a cab. At this point, Miss is not doing well at all. They can't get into her apartment, either because they were at the wrong apartment or because they couldn't operate this weird, as Mr. calls it, this weird electronic key that opens her door. And rather than leave on her porch or on her lawn, intoxicated and unable to take care of herself. Mr. Vandenberg wants to take her back to his room so she will have a place safe to sleep.
You're hearing from Randall Reagan, one of the defense attorneys for Brandon Vanderbilt, a new face in this case, by the way, this second time around. We're going to continue to hear the defense's opening statement when we come back. Stick around.